So, hello everybody. So, my name is Maddie. I am one of the adult weight management practitioners at Achieve. And today I'm going to be talking about polycystic ovary syndrome and just a couple of tips to help you sort of manage your symptoms and manage that syndrome as well. So that's what we're sort of looking at today. Today I'll go through sort of what is it, because sometimes a lot of clients have been worried about when they've been diagnosed with it. They're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. So what is it? What's the deal with sort of insulin? Also looking at nutrition, looking at the macronutrients, carbs, protein and fat. And then also looking at supplements as well, like what are the main supplements to take. And then also exercise and that mental health side of PCOS as well, and how to look after ourselves as well. So starting off, what is it? So polycystic ovary syndrome is the presence of small follicles on the ovaries, also known as cysts as well. So for example, someone without PCOS, the follicles will develop and grow as the egg matures in the ovaries, and then the egg gets released and then either used or not used. Whereas someone with PCOS, the follicles and the eggs sort of get trapped in the layer of the ovaries, and that's what you can see, sort of those little bumps on the ovaries, and you can sort of see that through an ultrasound as well. And that's sort of that ovarian cyst, which you might hear a lot of as well. So ovarian cysts are normally caused by high levels of testosterone in the body. Testosterone prevents the egg from maturing and bursting out each month. That's why a lot of people with polycystic ovaries do have irregular periods as well, and that's one of the symptoms for being diagnosed. Other symptoms of being diagnosed, so you have to have at least sort of 20 follicles or 20 cysts, those little bumps on the ovaries, to be classed as you might have PCOS, along with either one of the following: irregular periods of 6 to 8 periods a year instead of the normal 12. This is quite difficult if you are going through puberty or if you're going through the menopause, because our periods are already irregular, so that's something to look out for. And then also physical signs, biochemical signs as well, from sort of having those high levels of testosterone. You might see that you have a bit more facial hair, and then also body hair, acne, alopecia, and things like that as well. So you have to have at least, you have to have the 20 follicles and above one of the symptoms, and then along with either irregular periods or biochemical signs. And that's how you get diagnosed with PCOS as well. A lot of people, not everybody, but some people do have problems with insulin when it comes to PCOS as well. So if you think in someone without PCOS, insulin is sort of that lock and key. So the insulin is the key that unlocks the energy, and our body can then use that energy in whatever it might need to be doing. Whereas someone with PCOS might have that insulin resistance, where the insulin doesn't fit that key and lock mechanism. So therefore that energy isn't used effectively or can't be used effectively. So it's thought that these higher levels of insulin triggers the ovaries to produce more testosterone, which can then interrupt and prevent ovulation, and that can therefore increase those irregular periods. And also the higher levels of insulin also interfere with the sex hormone binding globulin. Basically what this globulin does, it pulls all the testosterone together into a clump, and then the body can then deal with it effectively. Whereas with the insulin sort of interfering with that production of that globulin, it doesn't allow the testosterone to be put into that clump, and therefore the testosterone's all over the place and the body can't manage it as easily. So therefore you have higher levels of testosterone in your body. So the doctors should be keeping on top of your blood glucose and your insulin levels as well. Should have a test every year if you can do, just to be on top of that. Nutrition wise, with that sort of insulin resistance, you might get told that you're supposed to go on a low carb diet or reduce your carbs down to a certain level that's just really unrealistic. That is probably one of the worst things that you can do with PCOS, because with that low carb diet, for example, your blood sugars are going to be all over the place because your body doesn't know what it's doing. It doesn't know when the next amount of carbs is coming through. So basically, it's better to just go for those high fiber carbohydrates, so the brown versions, so brown pasta, brown rice, brown bread, just because that will increase your blood sugar levels gradually over a longer period of time. You also might eat less of these brown versions, because you feel fuller for longer, because the fiber does keep you full, and also the fiber is also good for gut health as well, so just being aware of that as well. Fats, so it's better to have those unsaturated fats, those omega-3 fatty acids. This will help with inflammation that comes with PCOS. So having those omega-3s from your fish, avocados, nuts, seeds, some green leafy vegetables, a bit of tofu, just like what we learn on the course with those unsaturated fats, increasing them and decreasing the saturated fats. Also having an adequate intake of protein, because that, like I mentioned earlier, that sex hormone binding globulin, that is a protein. So the more protein you can have in your diet, the more your body can produce that sex binding hormone globulin. It's a bit of a mouthful. And therefore your levels of insulin can be sort of maintained, and also the levels of that androgen hormones, I can't say that word very well, so the testosterone hormones as well can be managed easily as well. So making sure that we're having enough protein. If you have a mixture of meat and plant, that's brilliant. However, if you just have plant, making sure that you are getting enough of those plant proteins there as well, because sometimes it can be difficult to have enough of it. So just making sure that you are having enough. Supplements, there are lots of different supplements that are flying around with PCOS, but I'm just going to tell you about the three main ones that I think work the best, or I've seen evidence that makes it work the best. So we've got inositol, which helps metabolize those carbohydrates, therefore increasing the effectiveness of insulin in the body. So that's a really important one. I think it can come in sort of a powder form, and you can put it into water, and you can have that as like your morning drink if you wanted to, or as a tablet as well. Also, sunshine, vitamin D, really important supplement. Everybody should be having vitamin D supplements in the winter, at least 10 micrograms a day. However, if you have PCOS, it is recommended that you take this supplement all year round as well. So just being aware of that. And then folate as well, if you're looking to get pregnant, because it can be quite difficult to get pregnant when you do have PCOS. So folate, just basically along with sort of helping with that pregnancy, it also helps with cardiovascular disease, helping with that as well, and preventing any sort of defects with newborns. So it's always good to have a bit of folate in your system whilst you're trying to get pregnant. Also, taking about 400 micrograms a day, and then stopping if you do get pregnant, stop at 12 weeks, because we don't want to have an overload of folate in our bodies. And like I said, there are lots of other supplements going around, but those are the main three that have strong evidence that they work towards PCOS. Exercise, that's another one. So exercise, obviously doing firstly what you feel comfortable with doing. Lots of people like to take it slow and work their way up, and that's absolutely fine. Just making sure that you feel comfortable whilst you're exercising. Studies have shown that engaging with regular activity and movement can improve those key hormones involved with PCOS, so it can improve the symptoms of PCOS. Also, we know that exercise can sort of help reduce that insulin resistance and manage our blood sugar levels a lot easier. And also, interestingly, with PCOS, people with PCOS are actually quite good at sports, like power-based sports, like weightlifting and things like that. But obviously, just doing what you feel comfortable. If you think the weight section of the gym is quite intimidating, then obviously slow and steady, increase it as you go along, increase that confidence as you go along. But it just shows that weightlifting or using weights, resistance training, does really work well with PCOS. But yeah, gentle exercise to start off with, work your way up as you go along. And then also just looking at that mental health side of things. So people with PCOS are more likely to have anxiety, depression, overall report a lower quality of life. So just giving you some tips on how to boost that morale and that sort of boost that mental health and body image. Changing the way we talk to ourselves, changing our self-talk. I don't know, like speaking to yourself in the mirror, saying you're amazing today. Let's do it. Let's get focused. Let's crack on with the day. Sort of giving yourself those positive messages. Self-care, giving yourself time for yourself, and allowing yourself to have that time. Like I don't know, for example, every Tuesday evening. That's your time. No one else can take that away from you. Whether you just sit and relax, have a bath, go for a walk, whatever it might be, just something to boost that mental health there as well. Looking in the community, what can the community provide? What groups are there where you can make new friends? Or is there a PCOS group where you find people like yourself who are struggling with the same things and you can work together to move out of that sort of low mental health? And then also having a really good clear out of your social media. Lots of people can influence, and especially with body image, lots of people can influence that. And any way that you can just switch off is going to help your mental health in the long run anyway. So having a good clear out, following people that actually give you good information, following people with nutritionists or dietitians that can give you evidence-based knowledge and advice, or people who have that positive body image as well. There are quite a few that I can put in the Facebook chat as well that you can go and follow, and you can get a lot of information from them as well. Also, managing stress as well. A lot of people with PCOS, the cortisol in our blood can increase those symptoms of PCOS and make it worse. So any way that we can de-stress, and even with people without PCOS, any way that we can de-stress is going to help us massively. So just a couple of tips: mindfulness, taking time for yourself, just sort of thinking about how can I help myself? How can I improve my mental health? How can I de-stress myself? Is there any sort of tension releasing activities that I can do? Also journaling, like writing stuff down and reflecting on that, writing down how you feel, how can I make this better for myself, and things like that. Also, acupuncture has proven to reduce the symptoms of PCOS. I mean, you do you. If you want needles stuck in your body, you go for it. It's not my thing, but if it works, then it's proven to work. So why not try it? And then also grounding techniques as well, like those breathing techniques. We do go through them on the course. Sort of breathing in through different parts of your body, imagining different colors in your head, and imagine it sort of dripping down your body, and sort of feeling that relaxation, that wave of relaxation over your body. Sort of having those breathing techniques before you go to bed so you can have a good night's sleep, and things like that. Just sort of little things that you can do throughout your day to reduce that stress. Also, just going for a walk as well, just to get out of that stress bubble that you might be in with work, for example, and things like that. So I hope this has been useful. I will go over the tips again just to go over that. So looking at the nutrition, having those brown versions of things, so brown rice, brown pasta. So high fiber carbohydrates are going to be better than those white carbohydrates, as the brown versions will increase that blood sugar gradually. Making sure that you're getting unsaturated fatty acids, so oily fish, avocados, nuts, seeds, those sort of liquid fats as well, so the olive oil, rapeseed oil, things like that. Making sure that you're getting enough protein in your body, especially with people who are vegan or vegetarian, making sure that you're having enough of those plant-based sources of protein. When it comes to supplements, inositol, which can help with metabolizing carbohydrates and have a better use of insulin in the body. Vitamin D, making sure that we're getting enough vitamin D. It is recommended that people with PCOS take vitamin D all year round. And also folate, if you're trying to get pregnant, that is also really helpful with trying to get that pregnancy and making sure that you're having a healthy baby as well. Exercise, gentle to start off with. If you're not very confident with exercise, start off slow. At Achieve, we're very sort of slow and steady. Small steps, small goals to get to where you want to be. However, if you do feel quite confident with exercise, that power-based sport like weightlifting or weight training can be really useful sort of with dealing with PCOS as well. And then also with sort of stress and mental health, just changing the way we talk to ourselves, the way we sort of look after ourselves, like being kind to ourselves. At Achieve, we do really promote being kind to ourselves, looking in the community, who else can help me in the community, and also looking at our social media and having a good clear out if we can. And then also with the stress side of things, mindfulness, being aware of your situation. How can I de-stress? How can I take myself away from the situation? Journaling, writing stuff down. Can I reflect from what I've written down? Can I make myself feel any better with this solution or with that solution? Acupuncture has proven to work with PCOS symptoms, and also grounding techniques as well, those breathing techniques and things like that. So I do hope that was useful, just going over some quick tips and advice on how to manage your PCOS. Obviously, you have my Facebook and you have sort of the Facebook chat to sort of get into contact with us, or our email addresses. If you do need more advice or any more help with sort of PCOS, please do get in touch. We're here to help, we're here to support. So yeah, I hope that was useful for everybody. And yeah, get in touch if you need me.